Hello, my name is Tina Rhodes, and I would like to talk to you today about Linux-based malware. For decades, Linux-based systems has had a reputation of being very secure. This has been attributed to several things, such as the fact that Linux users are not given root privileges as a default option. However, Windows-based operating systems gives new users the administrator level, and the administrator must go in and change the account from administrator to standard. Because of this, many Windows-based users give themselves administrator privileges, as well as anyone else they create a desktop for, such as their children. And if the entire family uses one desktop and it has administrator privileges, this can create a lot of difficulties in the future, to say the least. The Linux box user would not have root privileges, therefore social engineering attempts would be less likely than with Windows-based users. The next thing is something that I have always thought was the biggest dividing factor. The majority of the population that owns a computer is running Windows-based operating systems, which draws more attention than does Linux operating systems to thieves, crooks, and anyone else trying to steal whatever they can steal. However, as popularity grows for Linux, those tables will turn. Finally, there are more developers working to discover, report, and fix issues for Linux than there are working for Microsoft. Not too long ago, December 8, 2014 to be exact, a Linux Trojan was discovered. It was able to run commands without root privileges. It allowed attackers to perform remote management, to communicate with infected computers and servers. The way it was described, it sounded as if it were a siphon left there all the time, just waiting for an attacker to start streaming information from the infected device. It seems that Kurt Baumgartner of Kaspersky Labs was mystified by it based on his comments to security editor at ARS Technica, Dan Gooden. He stated that it could not be detected using normal methods of detection in a Linux environment, and admitted they were having difficulty reverse engineering the Trojan. The Linux bug was reported being newly discovered on January 19th of 2016. It seems this bug has been there ever since the release of Linux kernel 3.8. It resides in the OS keyring, where apps store sensitive data, authentication tokens, and encryption keys. Perception Point researchers discovered the bug and met with Linux kernel developers privately. The researchers created a proof of concept exploit to demonstrate the risk. The very next day, Google released a comment that company researchers do not believe any Android devices are vulnerable to the exploits by third-party applications. However, it looks as though Android KitKat and higher are affected, placing more than 60% of all Android phones and tablets at risk. Due to the nature of the bug, especially elevating privileges to root level for attackers, whether inside or outside the company or organization, Perception Point researchers are suggesting that security teams examine potentially affected devices and patch as soon as possible. Again on the same day, January 20th, 2016, another Linux Trojan was discovered by Steve McCaskill. This one is capable of taking screenshots of infected systems. It can even record sounds. The way this Trojan works is once launched, it looks for two specific files that are related to Dropbox and Firefox. If neither are found, it replicates itself and launches in a new directory. If it is successful, it connects to the server whose addresses are hard-coded in its body. It then starts transmitting as encrypted data and takes a screenshot every 30 seconds. This can allow attackers to steal sensitive information and putting consumers at risk for identity theft and privacy breaches. Are Linux operating systems more at risk than they want to admit? Will Linux step up to the plate in the future when combating viruses, trojans, and worms? Will they continue to proclaim they are impervious to infections? Is the Microsoft team ahead of the game when it comes to combating these attacks? How will Linux handle risk as their operating systems become more popular and in the hands of more people?